The rule of thumb is not always as it doesn't mean the longer term you go, the higher the rate. Oftentimes that is the case, but not always. In this case, it's not. The sweet spot in this instance is a 5-year at 6.25. But some people have the preference that, hey, we know that we're in a high interest rate environment today. It is starting to show indicators that we're going to be on the downward trend there. It makes a lot of sense to lock in the highest rate you can get for the longest period of time so that you can basically mitigate the risk of a low interest rate environment for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah.
We had just gotten out of that, if you go back to 2020, just prior to 2020, we were essentially in a zero interest rate environment. It was as close to zero as it's ever been in history.
Right.
And we've kind of gotten out of that since all the money was printed from the COVID crisis. But we're going to be on that trend downward again. Who knows what that means? We might be in a prolonged low interest rate environment, which therefore, if you locked in, let's say this 6% rate or sub 6% rate for 7 years or maybe even 10 years, let's see what the 10-year rate is.
Yep.
It's at 6.05.
Yeah.
So, you could lock in a 10% guarantee, or I'm sorry, 10-year guarantee at 6.05%. Some people would say that that's a very fair rate of return considering there's no risk to the markets and you're locking it in for a long, long time. Yeah. And, if you compare this to these bank CDs, which is essentially what a MYGA is, it's equivalent to a bank CD, with the difference being that the rates that are backed and guaranteed are offered by an insurance company versus a bank. So you don't have the same FDIC insurance covering the annuities as you do the bank CD, but annuities themselves, the fixed annuities, are backed by your specific resident state's insurance guarantee association. Oftentimes those coverage limits are very equal to an FDIC type backed product. In most states, that coverage limit on fixed annuities is up to $250,000.
Right.
I'm pulling up the CD rates. A 5-year CD rate on bankrate.com, the highest that I'm seeing here is 3.4%. Now, I have found a 2-year rate at 4.25, but ultimately, with CDs,
2-year options for an annuity at what? 5.25. Yeah.
So, oftentimes MYGAs are higher